Okay, so anyway, I go wash my hands, and then I think I just went back to the tournament area. I think I kind of like gave myself some affirmations, like seeing myself winning, making the final table, and it was kind of crazy. Like right after right, right after the break, another guy gets pocket aces. A guy, he was like in seat five, I think, and he goes up against another guy with a pocket pair. I think it might have actually been Jacks again. I think I remember it might have been pocket queens, but I think it was Jacks. And I kind of remember saying, "Oh, aces versus Jacks again," something like that. And again, aces won, no cracked aces. So that was kind of crazy. Uh, okay, and I want to talk more about Benny now. Talk about a hand, which I got a picture of, which I'm gonna put in the video. I might try to make a video out of it, but pretty sure this was like after the second break, and it was the same guy. It was Benny against the same guy that I just talked about who got pocket aces right after the break. So I have king queen. I'm in first position, and I find out later Benny had pocket fours, and the other guy with pocket aces, he had like ace jack off, and I probably got the picture up at this point. And yeah, so but anyway, I have a pretty good stack at this point. So I king queen in first position. I go ahead and raise to 2000, and I think it folds to Benny, and he fucking raises to 6,000. Sorry for my French. And I was like, what? And um, he had like three, I think two or three other people called him. I was like, damn, man. And I'd fold. I'm like, one of these three people probably got me beat or probably gonna end up beating me. And then the flop is 4-4 jack. So you got Benny with pocket fours. He flops quads. And the other guy flops top pair, top kicker. And they got it all in. And Benny ended up like almost stacking this guy. He ended up busting out a few hands later. And yeah, I remember I was like watching them both the whole time. I was pretty sure the other guy had the pot. I was looking at Benny. I had absolutely no idea how strong he was. I mean, he was really putting on a great poker face. He turned over pocket fours. I was just shocked. At first I was like, he he raised that much pre-flop with pocket fours. When I raised 2000, he raises to 6,000 with pocket fours with lots of other people waiting to act after him. But in retrospect, I guess I should have been thankful to him for that. And then there's another hand, but well, first of all, I want to say that hand and plus others that made me kind of a little kind of nervous for the remainder of the night. About playing hands from early position with Benny still acting, made me nervous about what he might do, and so I missed some pretty good opportunities because of that, and I'll talk about that in a second. But first, I want to talk about this other hand I had against Benny and this other guy to my right, not the guy with the pocket queens. A new guy came in. So I have ace jack suited hearts, ace jack hearts, and it folds to the guy to my right, and Benny is the big blind. And the guy to my right, I think the blinds were maybe 2,000, 1,000 or 1,500. I think it was 2,000, but I'm not positive. They were at least 1,000 at this point. Pretty sure they were at least 1,500. But the guy to my right, the new guy to my right, he raises to 10,000. And I consider it for about a minute. I look at the guy, try to get a read. He doesn't look like super strong. So I go ahead and call. and then it folds to Benny, and Benny tanks for a while. He's like asking how much, and the dealer tells him it's like 10,000, and he thinks about it for a while, and then he's finally like, oh, and the flop was all undercards. There was a seven there. I remember that, and there were two hearts, and I'm in position, and I don't watch the dealer lay down the flop when I'm in a hand. What I do is I watch the other players, try to get a read on them, and then I look at the cards. And that's what I did here. The dealer puts down the flop at first. I'm looking at Benny as she puts the cards down, and then I look at the guy to my right, and I see Benny check, and I see the other guy. He taps his chips with another chip, checking, and I think about what to do. I'm pretty sure they both missed the flop. I have like the nut flush draw, but against these two, especially against Benny, I really don't want to go to the turn. So I actually really want them to fold. So I bet 15,000 and they both fold. I take down the pot. Pretty nice win there. But so the so I have a pretty nice stack after that. But then talk about a couple hands. Um Going to the mid game. I think these happened before the third break, shortly kind of well, between halfway and the end of the time between the second and third break. There were some hands that I really kicked myself for folding, uh, again because of Benny. But anyway, the first one, I have A6 clubs. I think I was like maybe second position, and I thought about it, looked at Benny, and I fold, and he ends up folding. But then I think there's like two girls at the table at one point. One, they both have glasses. One has like clear glasses, and she looks pretty cute, but I saw her with her glasses, and she looked really, really cute with the glasses off. But anyway, she like calls or limps, and then there, I think the big blind, or I think it was like the small blind. It was this guy. So the guy, no, he busted out like yeah, this hand. Yeah. He and he was short stack anyway, but I think he called, and then the other girl, she had like sunglasses, a mask, and like a hood on, and I think she calls. I think she was the big blind, and the flop was all clubs. And the guy, he flopped top pair. He had like a king. There was like king in there. I would have flopped the nut flush draw. Turns out the girl had Jack 10 clubs, and she goes all in. The guy calls. I was just like, I was like trying to hide it, but inside I'm just boiling and just feeling like I'm being ripped apart. And I was steaming about that for a while. And then like I think it was like the last hand before the third break. I get pocket threes in early position again. And really, I should say you shouldn't play ace-6 suited or pocket threes from early position. I don't really believe in doing that. But I did have like a pretty decent stack at that point, and I was feeling pretty good. I had some pretty good mojo going on, I think because of the meditation and winning. And anyway, there was again the two girls were involved in the hand. The first girl, she had like 10-6 or something. And I folded my threes, and it was only limping. Nobody raised. Benny wasn't even in the hand again. And um, the flop is something like 10-3 undercard. And again, I'm like, And again, I think like the first girl, she went all in. I think somebody actually called her and she ended up winning. But there was another interesting hand before that. I'm pretty sure it happened. Well, actually, it might have been after. It might have been after the third break. There was this hand. Okay, let's just say it was after the third break. I think they moved me to like another table a few hands after the third break. I think. But anyway, there was this hand at that first table. Um, Again, it involved me and the two girls and one other guy. So there's four of us. I have 9-10 suited from the button. You know, it's like a guy limps. No, I think it was the guy Benny's left, and then the two girls. And I have 9-10 spades, and the flop is queen jack undercard diamonds. So I have an open ender, but I'm a little nervous about someone having a flush or a flush draw. So when everyone checks, I also check, and I'm trying to read, and I need to get better at reading people. I Because nobody had anything really. Everyone apparently completely missed the flop, and then a 10, non-diamond 10 came up on the turn. Again, it's checked, which I didn't really like. I wanted like an eight or a king to come up, non-diamond, eight or king, but a 10 comes up on the turn, checks to me, I check, and then the river is a nine. So the board has an open-ended straight at this point. I have two pair, and I'm pretty surprised it checks around to me again. And like I think like on the turn, I was really staring at the first girl, trying to get a read on her, and she was kind of staring back, but not very confidently. And I should have known. But there were also two other players I had to worry about. And one was that chick with the sunglasses and the mask and the hood. So I just went ahead and checked, and I was surprised I actually won the hand. Nobody had a flush or a straight or better two pair or set or anything. And the first girl, we all flip over our cards. I forget what the other two people had, but I remember the first girl, I think they all had trash, but the first girl, she flips over three, five clubs. Yeah, three, five clubs. I had 9-10 spades. I was like, what are you doing? You play. I mean, that told me right away what kind of player she was. She's playing three, five clubs from early position. So, and I'll go ahead and spoil. I ended up busting her. I could have busted her before with that when I had pocket threes, but I ended up busting her in a really awesome hand. So yeah, we're gonna move on to the really big hand. I had a big pot I won. So they move us to this other table, and I don't think Benny was at this table. Pretty sure he wasn't. There was this other guy. I was like seat five, I think, and there's this guy in seat nine who who again was annoying me. And like Benny, I ended up connecting with him later. But he was like going all in a lot. And it turns out he looked Vietnamese, but he was actually from California. And there was like one hand I was again had king, queen, diamonds in first position. I don't remember if the first time was suited, but this time was in first position, I think with king diamonds. And I think I raised maybe or limped. Pretty sure the blinds were at 2000. And he's on the button and he tanks for a while, and then he puts all his chips into the pot. And this was like one of the first hands I see him play in. I fold. I think I probably had him covered, but not by much. So the game continues, and he's doing this a lot, and everyone's folding. And like the one time somebody calls, I think he had ace king, someone else had like ace queen or ace jack or something, and he ended up winning. So that was the only hand I got to see by him when he went all in, but he did it a lot. But most of the time, people just folded. And when I first moved to this table, I had over 100,000, and then get to the big blind, and I'm down to like around 50,000. There was also another hand where I would have like outflushed someone, but I'm just gonna skip that. So anyway, the big hand of the night. Okay, I'm in the big blind. I don't remember what the blinds were. I'm thinking they may have been like still 2,000. They're probably no, they're probably at least 3 or 4,000 at that point. Yeah, I think they were probably. Let's say they were 4,000. They had to be at least 4,000, at least 3,000. But anyway, I'm in the big blind. Not really super long chips, but kind of not a big stack. And I look down at my cards and I see I have King seven diamonds. And normally I wouldn't get too excited about having King seven diamonds, but for some reason I got this really good feeling that this hand was going to work out well for me. Mm. Again, I was trying to think positive the whole night. I was feeling pretty good the whole night. My mojo was starting to fall a little bit before this hand, especially with the King Queen, and I wasn't getting very many good hands between like the King Queen diamonds and this hand. But anyway, so it's the girl, the cute girl with the glasses. She limps from like I think I'm in seat five. I think she was seat seven or eight. I think no, she was seat seven. She limps, and then this guy who I think was in seat two, he limps, and then the guy next to me, the small blind, he calls. And again, I don't look at the cards when they come down. I'm looking at all the other players to see their reaction to the cards. And then I look down at the cards and I see, can you guess what I saw? Yeah, I flopped the second nut flush. And then what happened next was just absolute insanity. Okay, so the girl, she goes all in. The guy from I think he's seat two, he goes all in. And then the guy in the small blind goes all in. And like the guy in seat nine, he's going crazy. And so are some other players at this point with three people going all in. And then, of course, I'm going to go all in. I throw them all. And then when I do that, I'm like, I call, put all my chips in immediately. And then the guy really, and the other players, they start just going crazy there. And I think at this point, everyone's already made the money. But yeah, it's pretty crazy, four people all in, four players all in. I'm pretty sure, like I said, I looked at all of them when the cards came down before I looked at the cards, and I was pretty confident none of them had the uh the nut flush. I had the second nut flush. So we flip our cards over. The girl, she has top pair and like a bad kicker. I think it was maybe a queen she had. It was a queen or a jack, obviously not an ace or a king. It's a queen or a jack, and the guy in like seat five, he has ace deuce, ace of diamonds, so he has the nut flush draw. And then the guy next to me, he has something like 7-3 diamonds, so he has like the second best hand, but I'm pretty sure he's drawn dead. I don't. It may have been possible for him to make a straight flush draw, but I don't even remember. But I'm pretty sure by the turn he was drawn dead. But and then like the girl, she was drawn pretty much drawn dead on the flop, and the guy with ace deuce, he had like five outs, so I was like an 80% favorite on the flop, and like a 90% favorite on the turn. River comes up, it's not a diamond, and I end up winning the hand. And the guy from California, he's going crazy. Oh, massive pot, man, and small blind and the girl. I ended up busting both of them. So yeah, I have a pretty nice stack at that point. And then I don't remember exactly how it went down. I know there was another break before we moved to the final table. I don't remember how many breaks there were. There was at least four breaks before the final table. But I want to say, well, I don't know. I'm pretty sure there was a break right before they moved us to the final table, and I don't remember how many people were left when I had that king seven hand, but it wasn't that much longer after that. But anyway, yeah, I make the final table, and I think there's like a break before, and I'm trying to stay positive. I don't remember if I said this or if I was planning on saying this, but like I think I started to, but then said I was going to save it. But like, um, I think I did say this, but anyway, point is, so this time I got pocket aces twice, although I didn't get it once, or pocket queens the last two times I played. But I did get queens like three times. But this time I got pocket aces twice. I had some pretty good hands, and I was running pretty good. I was probably running hotter than I've ever had in a live play in years. I actually didn't get pocket pair higher than pocket ace the entire night, and I don't think I got ace king. Um, the entire night. I did actually win with ace queen, which was the hand I busted out with on my first night playing at this room. Yeah, it was actually the guy I I busted when I got aces the second time. And it was Benny was in this hand also. And yeah, so I have ace queen. I was thinking about just calling, but then I don't remember the action exactly. I think it may have folded to me. I think Benny was the big blind again. And but I raised, I think, to 2000 or something, and the guy in seat one, he calls, and then he calls, and the flop was like 10 undercard, undercard, and we all checked, and then ace came up on the turn. I think I bet 2000 or 2500, and the guy in seat nine, he calls, and then he folds, and then the river was like it made the board four to a wheel draw. I think it was like there was like a two, ace, three, four. I think the river was like four. So that made me a little nervous. I wasn't surprised when this guy flipped over ace nine, but we both checked. He had position on me, I think. But we both check. I check, he checks, and he flips over ace nine. I flip over ace queen. I won a pretty nice pot there. But anyway, point is, I didn't really get great, super great cards most of the night. But like I remember like for like an hour before the final table and the whole time during the final table, I'm like just trying to will myself to get pocket kings or queens or at least jacks, but I never did. And I just got pretty much crappy cards the whole time I was at the final table. I remember there was this one hand, like I got pocket sevens at one point. That was like the best hand I had for a while. Yeah, that guy from Paris, he was at the final table. And the guy with ace deuce, ace diamonds, he was at the final table. The guy with Paris, he was going all in a lot and he was showing his hands or people were calling him and like he was getting like pocket eights, pocket nines. I think he got ace king twice. He got ace king against me at one point, but there was this one hand, I think the blinds were like 15,000. So probably like during the first round of blinds after we started the final table. And I get pocket sevens, which is like the best hand I've had in a while. So I realized just the blinds and the antes equal like 40,000 at this point. And I tell myself, oh, and I forgot to say, I'm in seat nine at the final table. Or no, no, I'm in seat one, and Benny is seat nine. And during this hand, I'm like in fifth or sixth position. And I tell myself if I see it folding towards Benny, and I tell myself if Benny folds, I'm going to just shove and try to steal the blinds and antes. And if someone calls me, I'll hope for the best. But Benny, he actually raises to 50,000. I'm like, I thought about it for maybe like 5 or 10 seconds and ended up folding. I think I asked how much it was, and the guy from California, he was, I think, the button or the small blind. He made some comments about how he was kind of disappointed to have to fold. He showed like he hit pocket sixes, and I told him I had pocket sevens, and I was going to shove if Benny folded. And he was like telling me, yeah, I was like, I was thinking about shoving, and I was like, yeah, but this guy's going to call. And I was like, he's like, oh yeah, he's put out like a third of his stack in. He's going to call definitely if I shove. So yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to do anything with that hand, and I was getting like seven deuce and crappy hands the whole night. And finally, I think the blinds are like 25,000, and I get like ace eight, I think, ace eight clubs, and it folds to me. I think I'm in like maybe like two places away from the button, and I shove, and I immediately go like this, put my hands down so people can get a read on me. I think that, like the guy from Paris, he was, I think, the big blind or the small blind. And I didn't even see it at first because my hands were low, but I guess like the guy to my left, he freaking calls. I remember there was one hand earlier I almost shoved with, but I saw him like holding his cards the way I thought showed strength. But right after I fold, he snap folded. So really, I got to get a lot better at reading people. But anyway, this guy, he freaking calls with king, queen off. Everyone else folds. We flip the cards over, and I'm feeling pretty good. But then I think we both um, flop a straight draw, but his was a better draw. And we both end up turning a straight, but his was better. And I think I was probably drawing dead at that point. I think maybe I could have chopped, maybe, not sure. But I ended up losing, and I just had him covered by 25,000. And after that, um, I think the blinds went to 30,000. And the guy, he's like going, oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. I'm like, yeah, right, it's okay for you. I was really annoyed. So my chances of like of winning the tournament go from slim to none at this point. Even making it to like the next paid level were pretty low. I think at this point there was like seven of us left. And the next hand I get pocket eights, but it's from like early position. I think it was the next, yeah. Well, maybe not the next hand, but next one or two hands. I get pocket eights. I shove, and the guy from Paris calls, and then the guy with ace deuce calls, who had ace deuce when I had king seven diamonds. Actually, actually the guy from Paris went all in, and then I think one of them they were all in against each other is the point. I think maybe the guy from Paris raised, and then the guy with pocket eights, I think he went all in, and then the guy from Paris called, and they folded. They folded. We flip over our hands, and I see the guy has ace king, and I see the guy has pocket eights, and he sees I have pocket eights, and I didn't really wasn't paying attention, but the guy from California told me the guy like made like a really bad face when he saw my pocket eights. And the turn is something like um, Queen Jack undercard. So the guy from Paris, he has a Broadway draw. So I think what does he have? Like 10 outs. But shockingly, me and the other guy's eights held up, and I ended up just doubling up from like the antes and from the guy from Paris. Like I get like 12,500 from him plus half the ante. And I ended up having 50,000 at this point. And I think like the next hand, eight deuce, and I'm in first position, so I fold. And then the big blind comes, and it's like 30,000. I don't even have enough to cover the big blind and the ante, so I'm all in. I look at my cards. I have freaking five deuce, and again, the guy from Paris, he gets involved, and there was another guy, and I actually. Oh wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Getting ahead of myself. Forgot something really, really big. Not even looking at the freaking outline, but yeah, when I have eight deuce, something really crazy happened with Benny and the guy from California. So the guy from California, I fold. It folds to the guy from California. He like raises, and then it folds to Benny, and Benny re-raises, and then the guy from California he tanks for a while, but then he's like, okay, let's do this, and he shoves, and then Benny shoves, and the guy from California just barely has Benny covered, and they flip over the cards. Benny has Ace Jack, the guy from California has Ace King, and this was like the theme of the entire night. Big, big, you know, hands clashing into each other, and the guy from California ended up winning, ended up busting Benny, and he ends up finishing seventh. And because of that, I ended up finishing sixth. So that's what I meant. Me and Benny just had this incredible interaction during the whole night, and it's not over. But like the next hand, I'm the big blind. I'm all in. Without a choice, I'm all in. And I get five deuce. I'm hoping for something halfway decent. I get like one of the worst hands in poker. But I actually flopped a gut shot. I needed a four to make a wheel straight, and I'm uh I'm like four, but four didn't come. I bust out in sixth place. The prize was like 1.4 million, minus my entry fee. I won a little over a million. And when I go to sign out, Benny is still checking out. And I was like, "Thank you for calling, sir." And he just smiled. I think we said a few words to each other, and then I sign out. The way it works, if you don't have a Vietnam bank, you have to like come back the next day or another day. The next time you're there, you have to come there after 5 p.m., like between 5 and 10 p.m. to get your prize. So I get my prize slip, and then I go outside and I bum a cigarette off this guy. And then I see Benny, he's also smoking a cigarette. I don't know how that actually happened. I mean, if I would have seen him, I'm sure I would have just bummed one off. But I think maybe he was like standing there, maybe talking on his phone at first, and then he started smoking. So I go over there and said something. We get to talking. I can't remember exactly how I opened him, but um, I think maybe I told him how I had like the gut shot in the next hand. And we get to talking, and that's when I actually find out he's actually from China. And I tell him, you know, I used to teach English from China. And I tried telling him in Chinese that, which is "我在中国当过英语老师." Maybe he's from like a region of China where it's harder to understand my Mandarin. But then I just tell him, you know, I was a English teacher. I tell him I'm looking for or accepting online students, and I give him my WeChat. Tell him, if he knows anyone, go ahead and give him my WeChat. They need like an English teacher. And we have a nice little chat. And yeah, so that was pretty interesting. This guy was really annoying me at the beginning of the night. We ended up becoming pretty good buddies. And then I walk home, make the long walk home. Even though I had my best night, I was still kind of annoyed. And I get home. First, I wasn't going to eat anything. I was kind of worried about I was kind of worried about getting infected. So it might be better not to eat, but I was feeling okay. Didn't feel like bad at all the last time or that second time when I got sick. But when I get home, I do take a couple of zinc pills. But I'm feeling hungry, thinking, I just had my best night at the Saigon poker room, so I should probably celebrate a little and order some food. And also, it's after midnight, and I just got back from Bangkok. Had a 10-day trip there where, I went there for like a holiday slash new tourist visa for Vietnam. And when I was in Bangkok, I noticed that after midnight, some restaurants had like really good promotions, like prices were a lot lower. And so I'm looking in the app and I see this pizza place. It's actually a burger and pizza place. And I decided first I was going to just get McDonald's, but they didn't really have any good after midnight deals. I don't think Burger King did either. They had like the best one in Bangkok. But I see this burger pizza place. I'm looking through their app and I see they have like a large pizza for 187 dong, 187,000 dong, which not a bad price for a large, although a large, I don't know if it's the same in America. I think it is the same in America, but even in Asia, like in America, large pizzas have shrunk because of inflation. Yeah, it was great back in the 80s and 90s. When you ordered a large pizza, you got a large pizza. That could be a meal for like three or four people. Not anymore, but in Asia, they're even smaller, but still, it was a pretty decent price. So I decided to order it. And also, like, the picture looked pretty good. And I took a picture of the pizza. And it's pretty good ingredients, pretty good quality. So I had my pizza, watched I don't remember what I watched, probably some HBO. I think I watched The White Lotus or something, and I was feeling tired after that, but actually I watched episode 3 of Survivor again. I watched it already, decided to watch it again while I was eating my pizza, and so that was pretty cool. That's pretty nice, but I did have trouble sleeping after that. Didn't get to sleep till after like 4 a.m. at least. And then I woke up around 9. So so that's why I was too tired to make this video yesterday and also to go play again. But anyway, I think that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you so much if you listened to the whole thing. Uh, Thank you to all my subscribers. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Let me know what you think about the video. Let me know if you have any good tips for reading people better. And I probably won't do another video about the poker room until I make like the final three at least. And I probably will try maybe uh, more expensive tournaments. So maybe I'll make a video if I do well on one of those. If I make the final table in like a higher tier tournament. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much. Thanks again to my subscribers. Thank you for watching the video. Please support veterans, like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.